Parents strongly cautioned. The following program may contain material that some parents may not find suitable for children. Contents of the following program may include foul language, discussion of gore, dangly parts, exploding lolitas, tentacles, transgender transformations, and one final dose of radiation to turn you into a giant monster with big hemorrhoids. You have been warned.
Thanks, Doc.
And welcome one and all to Equinimation here on Radio is Magic Entertainment. I am your host with the most, the man with Super Saiyan swagger, the one and only Pony Vegeta. And joining me here tonight to well, not completely finish off, but to do part 3 of our extremely awesome, super spectacular radioactive things of over there. It's part 3.
Super-sized Godzilla Marathon!
Yeah! Well, since he spoke up first, we have Spider Sex over there.
Thanks, Doc. I mean, hi.
And we also have our anime reviewing Sentai hero, MangaMan.
Radioactive! Radioactive!
I see what you did there.
Yes, everyone, tonight it's part 3 of our Godzilla tribute. We're going to be delving into the Millenium Era of films tonight, which started in 1999 and ended in 2004. So, yeah, before we get into that, MangaMan, buddy, how you doing?
Enjoying delicious. Having an apple.
Awesome. Spider, buddy, you alright?
I'm strung out because finals week, and I have an ass ton of work that I still need to do, and I've been blowing it off watching Godzilla and anime, but I'm hyped for tonight, and I'm feeling good.
Awesome. Yeah, well, after tonight, it'll be time to take it easy because we'll only have one movie to watch for the next one. But anyway, that's right, everyone. It's part 3, and we're closing out the already existing movies with the Millennium Era. So let's jump right into this thing and start with the 1999 movie. Well, it came out in Japan in 1999. Yeah, blah, blah, gosh. I'm tripping over my own tongue tonight. It was released in 1999 in Japan, but was released in 2000 here in the US, which is Godzilla 2000.
I don't know why, but this title really stands out for me. I don't know if it was like the 2000th film or something, and it took me a while to figure out. But I don't know what it is. That title just sounds really cool and really stands out to me. I like it.
Interesting.
Yes. I would have to say, I think this movie might have been my first introduction into the Godzilla franchise. If not, then I don't know, maybe one of the others.
This was the last one to come from Japan that had a theatrical release in the US.
Fascinating.
Because like a lot of movies didn't get a theatrical release, but this one did, which was pretty cool. I remember seeing all the advertisements for it, and I was so mad because I never got to go see it when it was in theaters, and it made me so angry. Like,
How old were you at the time?
At the time, I was probably about 14.
Jesus. I feel like a youngling. I feel like a scrub. Jesus, I'm pretty sure I'm the youngest one here.
You're a meania.
Shut up.
Oh, God.
Godzilla says I need to fight my own battles, don't you know?
Oh, good Lord, no.
Let's not go there, man. It's not going there. I thought we were done with this.
So an interesting thing about this, the Millennium Era, is there's a lot, unlike the last era and the era before, most of these movies are standalones. They ignore everything after the original movie.
A lot of these have different directors too. Like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Showa era had like pretty consistent in terms of like 3 or 4 main directors who went ahead and did all of them. But this one, I think each one has its own individual director, and it really shows because they vary wildly in tone. It's probably the most diverse. It's probably like the second or third most diverse. Well, I mean, that's up for debate, but I feel it's probably the most diverse era.
I agree with Spider on that one. In terms of overall, like, theme or whatnot, like, the Showa era, they, as second most diverse with different kind of, like, feels and themes, starting from the beginning and going on outward. But it started to go more towards, like, the campy kind of wacky fun times. And then the most consistent, I feel, was in the 90s, in the Heisei era.
Yeah.
That one definitely had an overall theme and tone of super serious. War never changes.
It's
but
great.
They vary a lot in terms of between movie to movie. Each one of them feels like an entirely different thing.
This is true. I definitely agree with you guys on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say anything else. You pretty much spoken everything there is to be said about that. So let's dive in and let's actually start talking about the individual movies themselves. So Godzilla 2000. It's like they said, most of these are like their own standalone movies, but this one is one of those where we don't really know for sure. Where a lot of the other ones is pretty clear cut because of how they do the exposition at the beginning. But this one, they never really say for sure whether or not it's its own standalone movie or if this is a continuation from after Godzilla vs. Destroya.
It's a mystery.
I mean,
here's what I believe happened in the Toa meeting room. It's like, hey, did you watch that American piece of crap? Yeah, pretty bad. I think we need to do something about this. I think you're right. We make Godzilla again. Okay.
And I think that honestly that might have been what it was, because I think the reason they killed Godzilla off and Destroya was because that was supposed to be it. And like oh god, no, you done messed it up, guy. You messed it all up. Okay, we guess we got to do it one more time.
You messed with the legacy, man. You treaded where man shouldn't have tread.
Yeah, we had a whole good thing going here. It was all wrapped up nice in a tiny little bow, but then you got to come around showing this on the screen.
Fucking Americans. Jesus Christ.
With your whole black peoples and your shooting up in the places and your New York police officers and the donuts and
your fucking reboots and your fucking parliament. No, we don't have a parliament, do we?
Do we?
No,
no, we don't have a parliament. That's other countries.
Yeah,
other countries have parliaments.
Your fucking Senate.
Okay, so this was a fun watch. It's definitely not the best. For me, this would fall somewhere in the middle. It's a fun watch, but nothing that's really, oh god, this is so amazing. It's like the first thing you notice about this one is Godzilla's redesign from all the previous eras.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie. I think, like, throughout the Millennium Era, he really does look fantastic. Especially later, he looks just fan-fucking-tastic. Like, you can see the individual scales and outlines, and, like, they gave him this badass new hunch, and they got rid of they sort of took the meat and the thickness from his thunder thighs and slapped him all over his body. He looks really balanced out, and he really does look some of his best in the Millennium Era.
Yeah, they redesigned his spines, because in all the other movies, if you notice, they wave around a lot. Like, you could tell they're just kind of attachments on the suit, but in the new one, they're more anchored in, and they actually stay steady throughout, with his movements. And
he looks like a giant. He looks like a giant lizard, to be perfectly straight.
Mm-hmm.
They changed the way of his snout, going away from the Heisei's more square snout to more of a angular, triangular face that you see in most monitor lizards and Komodo dragons.
And with this particular set of movies, they actually started to go into they started to get away from using certain styles of practical effects and got into using more CG for certain things. They still used a lot of practical effects, but they started using CG for certain styles of shots that they would not have been otherwise able to do as in the 90s and all the other movies.
Pretty much the best example of this is probably, for me at least, is Final Wars, because that really was edited pretty masterfully, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And this one, you can tell they're still kind of new to it, because a lot of the CG doesn't look that good in this particular movie.
Yeah, a lot of the swimming scenes with Godzilla just looks like they're from an old DOS box computer game.
Yeah, they look really, really bad. But I mean, when it comes to like the shoot, like whenever like Godzilla's facing up against the military, it's a welcome change, because all the because used to in the Showa and the Heisei era, they use like fireworks and stuff like that for like the missiles, and you could very clearly tell like parts of Godzilla would explode and like the missiles would just completely bypass him. But with this, I mean, the military stuff actually still looks pretty good, consistently good in all the movies, and you can tell it would get better as it went along. Because I mean, bullets would actually go on track and all that, and it was a welcome change as far as that goes.
A big part of it is that they really did get a budget, because Godzilla's popularity had really kind of peaked by this point, and he had sort of become a cultural icon of Japan. So they really wanted to pull out all the stops, and they really did give the Millennium Era's really nice, well pressed out budgets. And they really pulled out all the stops for this. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, as an overall movie itself, like if we were to separate this from the Godzilla line, as Vegeta said, this one was okay. It was kind of dipping their feet back into, back into the Godzilla territory again. For better or for worse, doing the whole storyline again, only having the first movie as a basis. For better or for worse, I say. It got kind of annoying in certain movies, but overall it wasn't too bad or anything like that. I guess we should talk a little bit more about this movie then.
Yeah.
Godzilla 2000 starts off with, of course, Godzilla mucking around around the Tokyo Line Bay Area, and there are these scientists or whatever, along with a reporter woman, who are tracking him, kind of like tornado chasers.
The Godzilla Protection
Chaser.
Network.
Yeah,
That's what they're called.
I wish they would have used those more in the movies, because I thought that was kind of interesting that they would track down giant kaijus like that, like weathermen do chasing tornadoes.
That was pretty. Yeah, that was pretty interesting, I gotta say.
Probably my favorite part of the movie was when they first encounter Godzilla right up there, and the dumb reporter woman decides, "Oh, I'm gonna take a picture." Snap, snap.
And her flash was odd. Oh, Godzilla's pissed now.
Back it up, back it up, back it up into the tunnel, and the whole foot coming down, everything breaking apart.
And they also got better with their use of green screen this time around. Because it was
a lot better.
Yeah, in the Showa era, it was terrible. They got better in the 90s, but you could still tell when they used it. This time, it was a lot better with their use of it.
it was interesting in the Showa era. Like, when something was green screen, you could see like the people or whatnot kind of faded into the background, and then in the Heisei era, they got this kind of greenish, bluish tinge to their skin, so you could automatically tell that they were brought in through green screen effects.
I think a lot of that has to do with technology. I'm no film buff, but like last time I checked, a lot of that has to do with just the technological limitations.
Yeah.
At the time. You see this a lot in old movies. Like if you look at the original cuts of Star Wars, you'll see that sort of bluish, green, grainy effect on them. It's like the green screen effect. But yeah, it's mostly technological limitation. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, their technology had caught up by this point, and like this actual opening bit has probably one of my favorite lines from the movie in it. It's like after they get out of the tunnel, actually get away from Godzilla, and they're watching him like from a distance or kind of chasing him, and the reporter and like one of the scientists go back and forth for a moment, and he's like, "So, don't you need to take more pictures?" He's like, "Oh, bite me."
That was a nice little comeback.
And one thing I feel I need to notice out of just because I look at it and I think this is funny. I know I mentioned this to you, MangaMan, yesterday when we watched Final Wars, but one thing I like that they did with the Millennium Era, it's like they didn't really do it during this Showa and the Heisei, but in a lot of movies you have, a female actress in a major role in all of the movies. Mm-hmm. And just like, for the most part, they're just kind of normal and looking, but in the Millennium Era, it's like, guys, we gotta get more attractive women in these leading roles. And I'm certainly not complaining.
Vegeta knows his Asians.
Darn sure, I like my Asian women. And it's like, from here on, it's like, in the female leading role, they have a very attractive woman in this role. Something I liked to see. I mean, it's a movie. I'm allowing for suspension of disbelief for hot scientists or a hot military chick. My suspension of disbelief will go that far.
Disbelief suspended.
As soon as the libido is involved, then all logic is thrown out the window.
We'll really get into that whenever. MangaMan knows where I'm gonna go with this one. So just anyway.
I apologize to all my Asian friends out there. I promise Vegeta is harmless.
I really am. I really, really am. It's just
a professional wrestler.
Yeah, but anyway, no, we'll get because this will really come into play much later on, like at the end of the show. But
to add on to that statement, I think it's more along the lines that the Millennium Era brought a lot more stronger female protagonists, as well as hotter.
This too.
We especially see that in, I believe, the second to final films, but we'll get to those soon.
Yeah, actually, I believe also in the next one too. But yeah, for now, as far as this one goes, I mean, a lot of the human conflict comes from like this, like these small squabbles between the Godzilla Prediction Network and this large company called the Crisis Control Agency that want to outright destroy Godzilla, while the Prediction Network wants to keep him alive so that he can be studied. In the meantime, this Crisis Control Agency is trying to bring up this giant meteor that, from underneath the ocean that had crashed there millions of years ago.
Because they believe that it has some sort of new energy that they can use. This was around that time when energy crisis seemed to really resonate throughout the world.
Aliens.
Aliens.
Well, you might as well talk about it. The meteorite turns out to be a alien spaceship. And in it, yes.
And in it, well, not just in it, but the ship itself turns out to be pretty much be an alien in and of itself. that requires sunlight to be able to survive. So whenever it crashed into the ocean millions of years ago, where sunlight couldn't reach it, it's like, It just went dormant, and then suddenly it wakes up, and then it wants to study all things Godzilla for some reason.
Well, they find out later on that the alien, just like the ones from The Day the Earth Stood Still, or from Invasion of the Body Snatchers? No, I think else.
No, Invasion of the Body Snatchers wouldn't be right.
No, what's the one... Oh, War of the Worlds, that's Doi. They find out that the alien can't survive in our atmosphere, so it's studying Godzilla for its, what they call, G-cell, which is a special T-cell that Godzilla has that gives him his Wolverine-like regenerative abilities.
Which is good, because we finally do get a true explanation on that, because we see that Godzilla's not actually completely impervious to all these weapons. It's just that he has super healing factor, like makes Wolverine jealous healing factor.
It's pretty ridiculous. Doesn't he come back from just like his fucking severed heart at one point? That's another one we'll get to, by the way. But yeah, he does shit like fully regenerate from just like his slow beating heart and come back from like the fucking brink of complete annihilation into another dimension just out of how badass he is.
Yeah.
And so it gets all up into a head where the alien spacecraft then gets atop of the largest building in the city, starts hacking into the networks, getting up all the information that they have on Godzilla, and then the alien ship and Godzilla come face to face, and the alien reveals itself to be the latest monster in the Toa area, Orga.
Yeah. Let me start getting images pulled up of the new monsters that we will encounter for tonight.
A lot of these had interesting designs, but were largely forgettable just in their presentation, I felt.
Orga, I think, was possibly the weakest of these new monsters. His design is just so odd.
So kind of like cumbersome, I think. He's got a huge Hunchback of Notre Dame back, huge claws that are like almost 3/4 the size of his body, and the small little spindly legs and little head sticking out from his big pulsing back. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, it's a very odd design. Somehow he can jump really high.
Thanks to wireframe.
No kidding. But yeah, he's trying to just assimilate Godzilla with himself or whatever, so he can survive in the Earth's atmosphere. But
as well as get unlimited power.
Power overwhelming. But
Even going so far as to try to eat Godzilla snake-wise, like opening up his jaw like a big python to nom on Godzilla.
But he forgot about one very important factor.
The atomic breath.
Yep, and then he gets blown up from the inside.
This wasn't a good idea.
It's like, wait, why is it suddenly very hot inside my mouth? Oh, I've made a critical mistake. Boom!
Spicy boom.
Ha ha ha. Ironic death.
Yes, White Oak, there was. We'll get to that one later. That's actually in this particular era. That's the last movie of this era. So we will get to that.
Any final thoughts on Godzilla 2000?
Yes. The last lines of the movie. Despite this being a kind of movie, this one could have had a really, really nice ending, but they screwed it up. Because after Godzilla kills Orga, he actually walks over to the building all the humans are standing on watching this fight, and the one guy that's been there, that's actually been that's been trying to kill him the whole time, he's like, wow, I've never seen Godzilla from this close before. Now that you see him, he's actually pretty fascinating. And, Godzilla, like, brings down his hand, crushes that part of the building that the guy is on, and Godzilla walks away, and he's not, unlike most of the movies when he's leaving, where he just, like, goes in a straight path, like, no, he's intentionally destroying things along. He's reaching out, knocking buildings over, intentionally blasting things away with his atomic breath. And, like, the one guy is like, ages ago, mankind accidentally created this monster, and we've been trying to destroy it ever since. If they would have ended it with this line, this movie would have been had a pretty solid ending. But then they throw in 2 more lines. They're like, nope, can't value, just shot through the roof. The woman said, actually, while Godzilla's intentionally destroying parts of the city for no reason, she says, then why does he always protect us? Then, the other guy that's there says, maybe it's because we have a little Godzilla in all of us.
What if Godzilla was one of us? Trying to catch the morning bus.
Man, if this is protection, I think this is kind of an abusive relationship, I gotta say.
No kidding. Oh, man.
More than that, this is a fucking extortion racket.
All the tuna I can eat or I will destroy your city. Protection money. Protection tuna.
Oh, that's a nice capital building you got there. Be a shame if I were to twitch my tail one of these days,
Yeah, but that's all I have on Godzilla 2000.
Yeah, you want to go see it, go watch it, but it's not a.
It's not one of those where it's like, oh, you must watch now.
Oh, you must watch now.
Oh.
All the cum.
Oh my.
Someone.
I would like to see that.
I shall do it.
You know what, White Oak? If you in next Scribbles with Chickadee, you should totally watch and suggest that.
Do it.
Anyway, if we're done here, we should move on to the next movie.
Oh yes.
Which is Godzilla vs. Megaguirus.
Oh boy.
Now, this is the first time this is the first time in the Millennium Era where we do get a clear-cut answer. This one ignores all movies after the first one, where Godzilla's only been seen, like, 3 times total throughout the last, like, near 50 years. And it's pretty much been, it's stated through exposition that he gets attracted to radiation. They tried to create a different energy source called plasma energy. He's attracted to that. So they have to use, like, regular standard, like, power to power things so they don't attract Godzilla. But he still comes anyway.
Like,
because fuck the police. Yeah,
it's like
that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The movie opens up with oddly enough with a group of ground troops attempting to take on Godzilla.
Okay, why did they ever think this is a good idea? I mean, really, what is the logic behind this? Why?
Fucking badass. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eat bazooka, Godzilla. Pew.
Pew, 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 pew.
So yeah, we get introduced to our main actually one of our main characters of the movie, Kiriko, who she's all like this super awesome, like, military chick, and she tries to shoot Godzilla in the face with a rocket, and, like, most of her platoon is wiped out, including her commanding officer, who she was close friends with, and then,
I want her to be my wife.
Kiriko's awesome. Just, like, straight up awesome.
Doesn't she come back? I can't remember.
No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the actress.
Yeah, I'd have to go look at the list of the casting credits, but I don't think she comes back. At least not as her own character.
Nope, as a different one. But yeah.
So this time around, they decide to use an entirely different method of getting rid of Godzilla. Instead of all the planes and tanks that they've tried a billion times before, this time they tried to create a miniature black hole to get rid of Godzilla. That's
Backfired us.
And it doesn't even work. Not even the fucking gravity of a star dying can stop Godzilla, folks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, like, unforgettable stuff in this movie. I thought the creature design for the final enemy was pretty cool, but anyway.
Let me say one thing though. But you see, they need to get the assistance of a certain college dropout who specializes in making miniature machines or nanobots, and they want him to shrink the overall size of their working black hole. And all this time, I'm just thinking to myself, okay, wait, he makes mini nano machines.
Son?
It's not like he can shrink down a matter or something like that.
It's not even matter. It's literally just the gravity of a sun collapsing in on itself. This is not how nanomachines work, son.
Son?
It's...
Am I the only one who's played Metal Gear Rising?
I have played it, just not beaten it yet. I haven't gotten very far.
Oh my god. Go fucking beat it, you casual. God, that game is amazing, but moving on. I'll talk about this later, but moving on.
Yeah, they try to use this black hole cannon to get rid of Godzilla, but, like, in the initial testing of it, like, the it punches a hole through to other dimensions when it's get used. So, and through this, a dragonfly-like insect called a megalon.
Meganula.
It's Meganula, Megalon. Yeah, okay, yeah, Meganula.
Not 100% sure if that actually exists or not, but
probably not.
They claim it to be something from the fossil record, but it's pretty obvious that they just kind of made up the thing for the movie.
Yeah, now, this is sort of where I get... This is very similar in tone, at least for me, for Godzilla vs. Destroya. A lot of what the early bits of Godzilla vs. Destroya, it was a lot like a slasher movie or Alien. You had these little Destroyas going around and eating things, and you see this too, and it's pretty gross, because it's like a giant dragonfly that's going around and, like, sticking its appendages into your chest and sucking out your innards. Was it just one, or was it more than one? It's been a while.
There was more than one, but you don't really see many of the attacks.
Yeah.
The hive of Meganula, and out of all the Godzilla films, this one is the most, in terms of serial killer monsters, this one is the most graphic when it comes to, like, you, like, see, like, a woman getting, like, acid spat on her and then dragging her into, like, this closed off area, and you just hear, like, thrashing and screaming and
tasty.
I like that. But yes, up here on the screen is the final form, Megagyrus, and this is after the black hole testing when they fired it at Godzilla did not work, and all these Meganulon swarmed around Godzilla and started, like, I don't know, leeching off of his blood, and then going back to their hive mother, their Megagyrus, and giving Godzilla's blood to her. I think it's her. I mean, if they call it a queen, this must be a female.
Yeah.
Unless it's a queen.
Ooh.
Oh,
We're getting in some dark territory now.
Like,
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
well then, so yes, the black
Megagyrus did love to stick Godzilla a couple times in the crotch.
Oh gosh. oh no. Oh no.
Why, boner?
Oh god.
Right, but the first actual attempt to hit Godzilla with the black hole cannon, which they call the Dimension Tide, by the way.
It's a pretty badass name, I gotta say.
It is. It's pretty cool. But it fails because Godzilla swarmed with the flying Meganulon, and they can't get a proper shot off. And Godzilla heads to Tokyo, where it ends up having like this epic showdown with Megaguirus, and Godzilla.
It's basically like how every fucking Godzilla movie ends.
Now, I need to say something here about Megaguirus' design. I thought his design was fine, but this is a troubling thing I have for, like, almost all of the flying monsters in the Godzilla line. You know that they have to use wire work at one point or another, but most of the movies have been very good at keeping the wire hidden. This movie, I felt, was the most sloppily executed out of all of them, because you could clearly see the wire frames for Megaguirus in several scenes.
It's also worth noting that its wings are supposed to be moving really, really fast. If you ever seen like a fly's wings, it moves a lot like that. So like that's probably part of it. But you are right. You can definitely see. You can definitely see the strings here.
Flying enemies have always been hard to like get a really convincing battle going on.
Oh yes.
Like, it usually winds up becoming something along the lines of like, oh, I'm gonna peck at your head. Oh, I'm gonna peck at your head.
I'm gonna fucking drop your crotch on a telephone pole.
But yeah, like the fight is kind of awkward. Godzilla does eventually win, but the movie doesn't end there. No, apparently the humanity has like one more like plasma generator that Godzilla was tracking, which is why it showed up again. And they do finally get to use the Dimension Tide, and this last time it actually works. Godzilla disappears.
Yes.
However, the final scenes of the movie involve our like nanobot specialist Kudo like back in his tiny little shot in Akiba, working on stuff, and the military chick Kiriko comes back to him and says that they've detected seismic activity in areas where there shouldn't be. So there's a possibility that Godzilla may have found a way to escape the black hole, which is total crap.
You cannot contain me.
But
he's fucking Godzilla, man. He doesn't need a reason.
But
Fuck
physics. Here's what gets me though. I mentioned I think on air last time, but those who have followed me on other shows know that I used to write pony fan fiction and was working on a Godzilla crossover that was based from this movie. So I watched this like 7 or 8 times last year to make sure all my details were in a row, and one particular time I just let the movie play after that final scene. I was doing something in the kitchen, and there's a final scene after the credits, and I didn't know about it till I watched it again last year.
Oh.
And it pretty much
say after the credits, man, for that stinger.
and it pretty much 100% confirms that Godzilla found a way out, because early on in the movie, there's a boy, I forget his name, but he's actually the one who found the Meganula egg that escaped from the black hole's first testing. And you see him again at the end of this at a school, and then suddenly there's this massive earthquake and this huge dust cloud, and it closes out with Godzilla's roar. So yeah, Godzilla escapes the black hole, and the credits roll. Well, not the credits roll, but then the movie just cuts, and that's it.
It was pretty intense, though, I gotta say. Seriously, fucking black holes cannot stop Godzilla. That is the most badass thing ever. Godzilla really was just... This probably is one of Godzilla's shining moments, if only for the fact that he escapes the gravitational pull of a black hole.
So in terms of the Millennium Era, I do feel that this one was one of the weaker of the films.
Yeah.
Due to the awkward fight choreography, the shoddy effects with Megaguirus, but did have a couple of highlights. One of them during the fight, where Godzilla pulls out the Atomic Body Slam.
I'm trying to think of the sound effect that E Honda does when he does the body slam, but it's lost upon me.
Doskoi!
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, there was that one kind of funny moment because then along the same lines as the Godzilla drop kick from versus Megalon.
The Millennium Era, it definitely felt that it was trying to kind of combine the Showa and Heisei era by giving some comedic elements along with some more serious elements.
Serious stalker movie elements.
Yes.
Quite. If you guys have nothing else to say about this one, we can move on to the next one.
I do
Let's
not
move on.
recommend you showing this to your children.
Yeah, this is pretty graphic. Parent strongly cautions.
So, at this stage, we move on to what is, in my opinion, not just the best movie of the Millennium Era, but despite the fact that Return of Godzilla from the Heisei era is my favorite, I acknowledge that it is certainly not the best of the movies. This one definitely, for me, takes a close second for being this in rankings of best Godzilla movies.
Which one is this? Because I think I agree with you.
This is
All right,
Godzilla.
movie title is Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah: Giant Monsters All Out Attack, featuring
think
Megatron.
I think this is actually the first legit Godzilla movie I watched, and it is just so fantastic.
Yeah,
It
this
really is just so good.
And once again, this movie is one that goes to prove they brought Godzilla back to his main element, where he was a straight-up villain. You see people at ground level getting hurt. You actually have a really, really nicely done story. You have well done. You have the actors the acting is pretty top notch for this movie. Even the extras do a pretty solid job in this movie.
There are a lot of extras.
There were. And even the CGI, which is, they're kind of trying to catch up and get, make it well done. Even a lot of the CGI in this movie was pretty well done. So, yeah. So, pretty much, once again, like versus Megaguirus, this movie ignores everything in between after the first movie. Godzilla's not been seen for 50 years. And, the only, small complaint I have is that some people regard Godzilla as just some myth, some legend, because, 50 years ago. I mean, 50 years is a long time, but not in the grand scheme of history, it's not.
World War II was just a myth. What are you talking about?
Hiroshima? Nah, that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's my only little gripe about this movie. Because it comes off, especially because you see someone say the Godzilla's not real, he's just some legend, to some woman who was very clearly old enough to have lived through that.
It is worth noting that a giant radioactive lizard is a little bit far-fetched. And if the continuity is to be believed, Godzilla is the only kaiju to have actually showed up. So there's not really a whole lot of evidence that any other kaiju exist. We only have this one isolated incident where this giant pissed off radioactive lizard shows up. And that does sound a little bit weird out of context.
I would like to say this, though. I think that's kind of what the movie director was trying to get across, in that he or she, whoever made this, that they were trying to show Shusuke Kanako, that he was trying to show, since Godzilla is an allegory for the horror and destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that he felt that people were almost forgetting that, putting it off as just a myth and not wanting to remember such a horrific event.
Mm-hmm.
In the same context.
That makes sense.
This movie, out of the entire Millennium Era, is definitely, I believe, the most spiritual in tone. There are a lot of talks throughout this movie of guardian spirits, of the afterlife, ghosts, all sorts of things, contemplations. Yes, contemplations of life and death, and like, oh, so many glorious, glorious, glorious things.
Oh yeah, glorious death. Yeah. It was pretty interesting though, and I gotta say right off the bat, this has some of the absolute best fight scenes in the entire goddamn franchise, people. If you need to watch one Godzilla movie for the fight scenes, go fucking watch this.
This Godzilla is definitely going for a throwback to the original suit design with the similar spikes designs. The only major difference that they did was glaze over his eyes white. The movie's explanation for this is that they say that the souls of the soldiers who died during World War II inhabit Godzilla's body. That is my phone. Ignore it. That they're inhabiting his body and is seeking revenge on Japan. And one of the characters in the movie even asks, "Why are the soldiers wanting to seek revenge on Japan? They fought to protect it with their lives."
Yes. That's deep.
It is. It really, really is.
It is. I'm not just saying that. It's deep, guys.
You know, and now, not only do we have, and like, I'm going to be honest, this movie in and of itself is kind of what I am expecting from the new Godzilla coming out in a couple of weeks. This is about what I'm expecting from it. This kind of movie.
I'd like to talk about that in a little bit after this one, if I may.
Yeah, we'll see if we have time for that. But
so when Godzilla comes around, mucking around the place, this girl who is a part of this film crew that does kind of mockumentaries of like, stuff like Ancient Aliens and Monster Quest and
Aliens.
Yes, aliens. That line of people. In fact, there's even one kind of Asian dude that looks like an Asian version of the Aliens guy.
Yeah.
I got a chuckle out of that.
But she encounters this old man in the woods that's been like telling her about these guardian monsters. Red one called Bagaran, which this is his third movie debut. He made his first movie debut in it was a Toho Frankenstein movie. It was the first one.
Frankenstein Conquers the World, I believe that one was.
Yes.
This one?
And then
you first.
Then he made a small, very, very, very small cameo in Destroy All Monsters. And he finally gets a starring role in this one and doesn't make the title.
Unfortunately.
In all fairness, he was beaten pretty daggum quickly.
He would, and it's probably one of the greatest fucking deaths, because he, like, grabs him by the tail, and he swings him around his head, and he fucking tosses him, like, 2 miles out to sea, or, like, what was it? It was, like, up in the mountains, and he just tosses him into this ravine, and he just wipes the floor with him. And this guy's no pushover, too. He jumps like a flea, and he can burrow, like, what's a good allegory here, guys?
Like a super mold.
Like a super bowl, yeah.
Diggly-dee, trio.
But yeah, it's important to note that these guardian monsters, they're guardians of of this particular nation, because this is their homeland. This is where they originated from. But despite the fact they're protecting it from Japan, their first instances that they're seen are actually of killing people.
Because they're not protecting the buildings or the people, they're protecting the land itself.
And it's not a shame to say that, they show some really delinquent and very, very juvenile kids.
Even fucking Mothra gets kind of a little bit out of character here, to be perfectly straight.
Yeah, Mothra was used differently in this movie. Then again, so was Ghidorah when he finally shows up.
Yeah,
Ghidorah is not an alien, surprisingly enough.
But yeah, I mean, these are guardian monsters, and I mean, these are people that are just not respecting the land or the people that inhabit it. They're just doing what they want, and they get straight wrecked.
Do you think this movie has something out for the young people? Because, like, they put major emphasis on, like, honoring the past and respecting your elders and completely murdering off the younger kids, and they're mostly seen as, like, hooligans. There's this one group at this beach scene who take a poor dog who is a little Hachiko and put him in a crate, and they're going to throw him over into the lake. But that's until Mothra comes and noms them all.
Yeah, that really is. That was a big sentiment at the time. There was another big piece of fiction called Battle Royale that really kind of encompasses the feeling at the time. There was a great division between the older groups and the younger groups. Like, Japan has the longest life expectancy in the world. You're expected to live up till 90 years over there. That's how good their diet is, and that's how good their health is. And the diaspora between these new generations who suddenly have access to all this new technology and all this new stuff coming around, and it's sort of kind of like in the throes of this social upheaval, and they're out there sort of trying to connect with the world, and the more insular older generations, there was a lot of resentment between the two. And there still is a great deal. Like, if you want to see more about this sort of thing, definitely read the Battle Royale novel or the manga, which is also really good. Just that really sort of encompasses the general feel of the time.
Very good insight there, Spider.
Thank you.
I would like to note, though, that the dog, he did live.
Yeah,
Wow.
and watching it this time, because like the first time I saw this, I still hadn't quite gained the appreciation I have for the Godzilla series. And, you know, and I'd also, at this time, you know, when I first saw, I had not watched a certain movie we have reviewed here on Equinimation, Hachiko Monogatari, and realizing it's the same kind of dog, and I'm like, no, Hachi, no! So yeah, that was a thing. I was like, no, not Hachi, not again!
Hachiku, no!
But yeah, that was the thing, and again, that's why I like this. Like at the time, at the first time I saw this, I didn't really like the movie that much. I thought it was kind of boring until I suddenly realized, oh wow, this movie's actually pretty darn violent. I mean, we actually like again one of those my favorite scenes in the movie. It's just like one of those really small, short scenes that has not a lot of doesn't have like an impact on the overall movie as far as like story. But there's this girl that's in a hospital that's like with Godzilla strolling through town, like knocking buildings over, and she sees him out of her window coming towards her.
And she can't move. She's got a broken leg all slinged up and everything.
And she's like freaking out. She's getting hysterical. She's like almost laughing. She's hysterical at this moment. And Godzilla just seems to walk right by. She's like, okay. Okay, I'm okay. And then suddenly you just see his tail, coming crashing in through the window. Like, it's like, once again, you see people at ground level getting hurt, which is what these movies need. Is like, again, and right now it's on the image on the live stream, it's actually Ghidorah in this movie. He's got a very, very different look this time around.
He looks a lot more interesting, honestly. If you ask me, he looks a bit more cumbersome, and he looks a lot more intimidating. He gives more of the Godzilla destructive feel to him, because he's supposed to be this giant fucking beast of destruction and chaos who wiped out Venus or fucking Mars, whatever it was. And he definitely gives off more of that vibe here, just given how bigger and more intimidating he looks.
Except for the fact that he's a guardian monster, which
I know, but still,
it threw me for a big loop, because it's like, wait, Godzilla's biggest number one enemy is the good guy?
To be fair, he really is, like, Ghidorah throughout the era has been sort of chaotic evil, and he's really more, what's a good example? Lawful evil here. Mothra as well. Throughout, they did a lot with just the general pathos of the monsters. Like, Mothra's pretty much the best example. Throughout the entire series, she's been lawful good, if you're familiar with the, whole D&D classic alignment chart. And here, she's definitely neutral evil as well. You feel me? Because they did this with the whole movie.
Well, to be fair, Mothra in both her first movie appearance and onwards, yes, she would defend people as much as she could, but if, like, say, people steal her fairies or they do something to really upset her, then she don't care who she's got to hurt.
Well, fairies!
My girlfriends, come back! Ah! Oh, you don't know about messing with my bitches.
But yeah, this time around again we get the guardian monsters that are trying to be awakened to stop Godzilla, and this time around we get a fairly interesting way to kill off Godzilla. This time around, and the way they did it was pretty cool. They this time they get the idea. Huh?
Let me set this up.
Okay.
I so love this. Okay. So, Godzilla is pretty much impervious to all their attacks and advances. They gotta figure out a way to try to get into Godzilla to fire off this, what was it? Some sort of disintegration cannon?
Not really disintegration cannon, but it was like a powerful explosive, but hooked to a drill.
Hooked to a drill.
It was basically the fucking power of love, to be perfectly honest with you.
That's the power of love.
The power of love. And so in the final thrones, like after all 3 of the guardian monsters are destroyed, which by the way, I didn't get to mention this before, but Bagaran is my favorite kaiju. Who?
Baragon.
Oh, Baragon, yes, of course.
Yes. He's like the bulldog of the kaiju. He's so big with his floppy ears and his big old teeth. And
his ears had excellent animatronics or puppetry or whatever it was. That was probably the most standout thing to the movie for me, other than the final bit where Godzilla and King Ghidorah and Mothra are just utterly shrekking everything. That probably stood out the most to me, is that one shot where he wiggles his ears. That was cute.
He's so cute.
Adorbs.
What I do like about, like, when Mothra appears in her final form, they have a scene where she's flying over this, like, fair, and you see these 2 girls who look very similar to the twin fairies. Even though the twin fairies themselves didn't make an appearance in this film, I almost feel like this shot was kind of like acknowledging them in a way.
That's probably it.
It was a nice little touch. But anyway, so they have this drill bomb that they need to somehow get into Godzilla. And not since Godzilla vs. Biollante have I seen a more badass guy than... Oh my god.
I can't recall his name either, but...
Takeda? No.
Tetsuo?
No!
Akira!
Tetsuo! Guys?
I can't bloody recall his name, but... Yeah, like MangaMan said, this guy just did one of the most, like, epic things you could have possibly ever done.
He takes this ship, goes right into the throat of Godzilla, and pretty much gets eaten alive.
Like I said, power of love!
But while he's inside the thing, he, like, is almost on the brink of fainting, then he, like, sees the image of his daughter next to him, like, saying that he promised that he'd make it back alive, and so he takes a hold of the controls, pushes the button, it blows a part of Godzilla's chest. Godzilla is, like, right on top of the guy's daughter and her pseudo boyfriend, and like he's about to do a fire. He tries to do a fire breath, but like the atomic breath starts shooting out of his wound. It's like, ah, shit, heartburn. And so he's like, oh shit, I better try that again. Boom! He explodes.
That whole scene, that whole fucking scene, that was really intense.
Ryodo Uzaki is the name.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Actually, sorry, that's the name of the actor. The guy, his character himself is Taizo Tachibana.
Ah, yes, that was it. And it, like I said, power of love, guys.
And his daughter is like, she's not dead or anything. She's just the lead actress of the movie. And she's hot.
Hey, show her on the screen there.
Oh, jeez. Let me. This was like quite literally the.
There's her actress's name.
Okay, yeah, gotta. Okay,
Overall, everybody did a great job in this movie. I really felt that scene inside Godzilla was kind of like almost a little bit of a way of saying, like, you know, the movie was addressing like what Spider was saying about the clashing of the ages, old versus new, but it was kind of like a moment of peace, of like recollection. We have the older generation being supported by the newer generation. She's
sort of learning to get along and love each other.
That's the power of
love. It's the power of love. Yeah.
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 Overall, this is one of my favorite Godzilla movies.
Oh hell yes! This is one of my first, and it really is just one of the best. Go watch it. Go watch it right now. If you need to watch one movie from one era, it'd be this.
And before we can really continue on, we're gonna have to take a music break because I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've got to go to the restroom. Bad. So I'm gonna set up a couple of songs for you guys to listen to. Let's see, that'll cover it. So we're gonna have some General Mumble and some DJ Gage N for you guys. We're gonna play that, and we'll be back in about 8 minutes.
Go fill that Valkyrie.
Oh, I'm gonna do more than to fill the Valkyrie. I'm gonna fill the nuclear reserves while I'm at it.
Oh,
so
boy.
So we'll catch you guys in about 8 minutes, and we're gonna finish off talking about the Godzilla franchise. So we'll be back in about 8 minutes.
Breaking a sweat, watching you soak up the mud. I tell you it's been a while. Your purple skin evokes a gummy smile. Put your trust in me, I'll sink my guts into you. I might be missing some teeth, but got a trick or two. Get yourself nice and clean, I'm feeling naked clean. I'll make you fall in love with the gator. Put your trust into me, I'll sink my guts into you. I might be missing some teeth, but got a trick or two. Get yourself nice and clean, I'm feeling naked clean. I'll make you fall in love with the gator.
And we're back from that very, very sudden and abruptly needed music break. The songs you heard in order were Gator in the Tub by General Mumble and Creeping Insanity by DJ Gage N. I am your now very well relieved host, Pony Vegeta, joined by Spider6 and MangaMan, and we're now going to finish off the last half of the Millennium Era of the Godzilla franchise.
Before
That's
we
funny, 'cause
begin, I would like to comment a little bit on the new Godzilla movie and sort of my expectations and hopes for it. I believe America, in spite of the 1998 disaster, is really one of the only other countries capable of creating a good Godzilla film, because largely Godzilla was allegorical, and we have a unique position in the world that I feel can't be replicated by any other country. Maybe Britain or the rest of the Commonwealth, but largely we go in and we make monsters a lot like how, a bit allegorical of how Godzilla is sort of the forces we can't control. Godzilla to us might be sort of the forces we go out and that we create, and that we deal with, that are largely our own fault, like a lot like how allegorical of how the original Godzilla may or may not have been our fault, just like intentionally. And that's why I feel America's largely one of the only countries on Earth that could produce a really good Godzilla film like the first. That's just my 2 cents. You follow me?
Yeah, I follow you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? I'm looking at pictures of this chick in a bikini.
Never mind.
Vegeta.
I'm sorry, but I still had like the initial image of what's her face, Chiharu Niyama, pulled up, and there's quite a few shots of her in bikinis.
I can't believe you. I can't fucking believe you.
I'm sorry, she's a very, very attractive woman. Okay, I'm closing that out. I'm pulling her name off of my search results so I can stop looking at those pictures.
You're gonna look again after the show.
No, I'm not. I'm not usually not the kind of person to just look up pictures of women like that, but they were just there in front of me, so I had to look at a few of them.
I can't believe you. I put so much thought into that, and you're looking at porn.
It's not porn. She was in classy bikinis, okay?
I feel violated. I thought we were Never mind. Moving
The
on.
next movie in the franchise is Godzilla against Mechagodzilla.
Oh god.
Yeah, once again, one of Godzilla's greatest nemesises comes back as fighting for the side of the humans like he did during in Mechagodzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 in the Heisei era.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he does stuff. Wait, where does this movie take place again? Like,
once again, this movie ignores all Godzilla films except for the original. But this one is a little bit different in its take because it acknowledges a lot of the other Toho monster movies.
Now, was it this one or was it the next one?
The next one is in continuity with this one.
Right.
So, it apparently after the first Godzilla, other giant monsters have shown up throughout Japan's history. So they have created a special defense unit specifically made to fight these giant monsters.
And the best way to go about it is to take the fucking skeleton of the first Godzilla and turn him into a giant robot.
I'm almost reminded of RoboCop, but with monsters.
That's amazing.
Foolish machine, didn't know I could dream. Was it a nightmare or an error in the drive? Rawr.
Lol.
I gotta say, my favorite shot of this is when they're getting the new Mechagodzilla, which they call Kiryu, which is the Japanese word for... I've heard some translations of it to be like metal dragon, or of the same ilk.
Steel Dragon, I don't know.
Just completely call me out on it if I'm getting this wrong. But anyways, they're getting him out onto the field for the first time to face off against Godzilla. And at first it looks like it's going pretty well. Like, Kiryu is getting some decent damage done onto Godzilla. Until Godzilla roars, which the bones that the metal surrounds do a sort of ghost in the shell thing. And remember that it was Godzilla. And then it does this epic pose, which just reminds me of, like, Hail to the King, baby!
Because that's how bone structures work. They totally have brains that can remember stuff.
Well, one of the scientists that made Kiryu actually did, like, explain that the way he does things is that he uses original fossils. Like, he revived a trilobite with fossils and machines. Essentially, it's the same thing as RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Murphy, it's you.
Yeah. But yeah, this time Mechagodzilla is back up to having a ridiculous level of arsenal of weaponry, including what they call the Absolute Zero, which is a pretty freaking amazing idea for a weapon. It's like
Even though Absolute Zero cannot exist.
Yeah, but it's like pretty much it's a cannon that shoots a beam of energy that super freezes anything in front of it to the temperature level known as absolute zero, which is like negative 273 degrees Celsius.
I guess they decided Godzilla needed to chill out.
Freeze well.
You get it? Guys?
Now I just want to go back in and dub in Arnold's lines into Mechagodzilla.
That would be amusing.
One thing I would like to talk about, not so much the monsters, but the human side of things. The scientist that develops this, like, RoboCop stuff, he is seriously, like, trying and failing to crush on this one soldier chick. And it's really, really, really painfully awkward.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, hey, do you like kids? Oh, damn, that was wrong. Stupid.
Do you have kids? I got plenty of kids for you, baby.
Would you want to make kids with me?
Oh, God.
Like, I really wish you were joking about that. That he actually says that. I think. No, he says something along those lines. Like, he says, do you want kids?
Do you want my kids?
Like, oh, come, like, no. Like, I legitimately almost skipped over those scenes when he was trying to score with this chick, because it was so awkward. Like,
yeah. It was hilariously bad.
I know we're supposed to be, like, feeling sorry for this guy and laughing at him, but it just felt so bad. Like, I can't watch this scene. Except for, like,
why they do this, and, like, there's this one jerk who's like, you killed my brother, to the chick or whatnot. Is like, oh, come on.
You killed my brother, you jerk. Prepare to die.
Prepare to die.
I will say I liked the guy's daughter, just because in one particular, she notices what he's doing, and she calls him a wolf.
You're breaking Daddy's game.
But
overall, scolding her like, "Don't you want a mommy?"
Go for someone more your age, jerk. She's like 20 years younger than you. Well, probably not that much younger, but you can tell it's a considerable gap.
Well, the guy does get sympathy from us, mostly through his daughter, and relaying the story of how his wife was in labor. And the doctor said that only one of them would survive, either the child or the mother. The guy wanted the wife to be saved, but the wife wanted the child to be saved. But in the end, both of them perished.
No.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not a terrible character. It's just that his scenes with the female actress is just no.
This is what I bring up in good female supporting cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, main role. Good female main role character. Even though, like, a couple of the things I felt was a little, like, corny and cheesy, like the scenes with her and the doctor, or the scenes with where the jerk face, like, even after she saves his ass after a Godzilla attack, he still is, like, treating her like shit, and, like, everybody then, like, stands up for her, and there's this, like, yeah, we believe in you.
I believe in you, man!
Yeah, it all especially feels really hokey, especially after the last movie they did that was so amazing, and then it's like back to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This movie was directed by Masaki Tezuka.
Interesting.
I don't really have a whole lot much to say about this particular movie. I mean, Godzilla bones, they wreak havoc. Yeah.
I never even watched the ending to this one. Like, my computer died, and I just sort of never got around to finishing it.
What
What ended up happening at the end of it is it was the final showdown between Kiryu and Godzilla. They're able to get so far as to strapping in Godzilla and, like, hurtling him towards the lake and firing the Freezinator, which freezes the water all around them. But somehow Godzilla was still able to break free from that and just says, you know what, fuck it, I'm out.
Because, like, Godzilla was actually pretty severely injured during the fight. I mean, he actually got hurt by Mecha Godzilla.
Very surprisingly.
So, the last shot is of, the chick, Mecha Godzilla, or Kiryu, is piloted by remote. But those controls were damaged, so the chick manages to get inside Kiryu, pilot it from the inside for the final showdown, and, like, the final shot is, of Mecha Godzilla standing motionless because its energy reserves are completely depleted. It can't move. Godzilla's too injured to continue fighting, so it's Godzilla walking out into the sunset with, like, the chick standing on Mecha Godzilla's shoulder watching Godzilla leave. It's a pretty cool looking shot, but all it is the setup for the next movie,
Godzilla Tokyo SOS.
which is a pretty cool title.
SOS means someone help me. It's not healthy.
But now, now things. Now, once again, we find the twin fairies. They come back around this time, and we actually get a return of a veteran actor in this movie. I forget his actual name, but he played in the original Mothra, and he reprises his role as that character Chujo in this particular movie, as descendants of those fairies that he met came back and said, "Hey, we know that you have some connections, and the Godzilla bones they use for this Mecha Godzilla, they can't do that. That's disturbing the souls of the dead. They got to get rid of it. And if they don't,
Can do it.
and if they don't,
It's definitely showing off the sensitivity in honoring the dead. Mostly through the twin fairies actions and talk about it. It's really nice that they, if not acknowledging the other Godzilla movies, that they actually acknowledge the very first Mothra movie, which I found to be a really nice surprise.
Really nice. Very handsome.
In another scene, though, we also get a cameo of another monster that was from the older era that wasn't really used too much. It was Kamoi Bass.
I don't even know what that means.
He's a big kind of turtle-looking thing.
Kamobus or Kamibus or something like that. Yeah.
You mean Is he a turtle of the Teenage Mutant Ninja variety?
No.
He's a little too big for that.
Teenage Mutant Kaiju turtle?
Turtles in a kaiju. Turtle power.
Turtles in a kaiju?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Show the picture.
Oh right, yeah. Let me copy.
He's only there for a short while, and I can't remember for the life of me where he was featured in before. I think he was a part of like some of the TV shows that were playing during the 60s. Or maybe he had his own movies. I don't know.
I don't think so. Yeah, I actually typed in the name, and the images that are not from this movie we're talking about now all look a little dated.
Any of a giant turtle thingy?
Yeah, he's a giant turtle. He's a giant turtle. So yeah, this is him in the shot, the Camebus, everyone. This is the Camebus. You can see he's got like really, really deep claw marks in his neck. And they're all pretty sure Godzilla did it. And this is like a year or so after his battle with Mechagodzilla in the last movie.
It's a shame we didn't get to see Camebus in action or anything, because he looked like he could do some damage.
Oh, yes. I forget. I distinctly remember watching a movie with Camebus in it, and he was pretty cool, I gotta say. It was
Yes.
one of the Mothra films.
Maybe that's why. Maybe he was from the original Mothra movie.
No, it wasn't from the original Mothra movie. I think just the original Mothra movie only had Mothra in it.
Right.
The original one, yeah, it just had Mothra, and that was it.
Camille Bass.
Camille Bass was from the 1970 film Space Amoeba.
Oh,
Which is the same one.
seems legit.
It's the same one of that one giant octopus-looking thing that you see in Destroy All Monsters for a second.
Yeah, that thing.
The ridiculous looking thing. Ooh.
But yeah, it's pretty much, hey, get rid of Mechagodzilla or Mothra's gonna go on a rampage. Obviously they don't, but for some reason Mothra still comes to help when Godzilla attacks. There's a lot of
Mothra effects in this film are stupendous.
Oh yeah. Mothra looks gorgeous in this movie. In fact, let me pull the Mothra's image up.
Pull that sexy girl on there. Get a cover spread of that bug. Oh yeah. That makes me
That
horny.
asshole.
It's
getting hot in here, guys. Jeez.
And
That thorax, though.
Those
Yeah.
eyes.
yeah, let's go romantic.
Yeah. Ugh.
That was romantic.
Very romantic. Way to set the mood.
Yeah.
They do a nice combination. It's not as like sleek as it was in Giant Monsters All Out Attack, but it's a nice kind of combination of her original look, which was a little bit more of a fuzzy moth, as well as a little bit sleeker in design. Her twin babies also make an appearance, and this is the first time, I think, in a Mothra... Well, probably not. First time for me in a Godzilla/Mothra movie that the babies actually see their mother just before she sacrifices herself to defend her babies.
Oh,
Yeah.
babies.
I must have played that scene 3 times.
Oh,
Yeah. But again, like, for me, there's not really too much to say about this movie. I mean, like, the way they eventually do get rid of Mechagodzilla's body, and apparently it's thankful to one of the ground crew members who took care of it.
Hey, don't pull him off like that. He played a major role.
He did. He played a very major
man.
role.
One of the best scenes of the movie is when he actually has to go inside Mechagodzilla to repair him. And then while he's inside there, the character's name is Yoshito Kujo, I believe. Yoshito Kujo.
Chujo.
something like that.
Chujo.
Because he's like the nephew or he's like the grandson of the character from the first Mothra movie.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, he actually has to go inside Mechagodzilla while the fight is going on to repair something, and ends up getting trapped inside because the last of the shafts that lead into Mechagodzilla has been sealed shut by his atomic breath. So it's a literal do or die situation. He's stuck in there during the final battle.
And I love what he says. He's like, the crew people are like, "Hey, are you out of there? Are you out of him already? We gotta get moving." It's like, "Yeah,
Rude.
I'm out. Go ahead."
Mm-hmm.
And granted, he's not even strapped in or anything. This thing is jostling. He's being thrown around the place and everything. He almost has kind of a heart-to-heart moment with Kiryu. In one scene, he almost has a flashback of the original Godzilla's death.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this lovely scene where, at the very end, the new Godzilla is strung up by the thread of the 2 Mothra babies, all strung up. And, the army people is like, "Go, finish him! Fire the final round!" and whatnot. But Kiryu just kind of looks down at his young apprentice, let's say, and just says, almost saying to the audience, "That's enough." He takes up Godzilla and starts rocketing towards a big trench in the middle of the ocean. And all the while, they find out that Kujo is still inside Kiryu. They blast open the doors, but he's not going to be able to make it out in time. But then Kiryu starts turning himself in midair, forcing him to get out of his body. And just as Kujo is about to leave, on the computer screen it says, "Sayonara, Kujo." And he lets go, and he's saved by one of the pilots who parachutes out to catch him. And so both Godzillas slam into the bay and start going all the way down to the very bottom of the trench. I'd have to say that this
Feels
is
bad,
probably
man.
the second best film in the Millennium Era.
Definitely.
Righto. So I don't personally have a whole lot of time left to talk about these movies. So let's move right along into the final film of the Millennium Era.
Final Wars.
Now, regarding this movie, I think I think the pre-planning for this movie kind of went something like this. Hey guys, this is gonna be the final movie of the series. What do we need to do? How do we need to prepare for this? He's like, okay guys, listen, this is what we're gonna do. Go out and buy every single movie from the 80s starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you, get Michael Bay on the phone. We need an explosives consultant. And someone get Hugh Hefner. We need hot Asian chicks with long legs. Pronto! I think that's about what the pre-planning for this movie was like.
Not to mention that this was also Godzilla's 50th anniversary. They're pulling out all
50
the
years of destroying Tokyo. Here's to 50 more.
Amen. So, to sum up the entire movie, like, how much are we on time here, Vegeta?
I got maybe another like 7 or 8 minutes. I can stick around. Then I've got to go.
Ah, shit, man. You're really killing me here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. I'm sorry.
So it takes a
Real
full
quick.
hour. So it takes a full hour for Godzilla to appear in this movie. He appears a little bit in the beginning, but then he gets frozen in ice, feeding up events of King Kong versus Godzilla. But that's another topic that we talked about in 2 other videos before. The hour-long length in between this time, monsters start appearing all around the world, start destroying all parts, including the American Godzilla named Zilla. Who actually starts tearing apart Australia. And we also have all sorts of the classic Showa-era monsters, like King Caesar makes appearance in this, Anguirus, Rodan is in here, all sorts of cool nods to the original Showa era. All the while, but then they get beamed up by this alien mothership, and they say, "We're come in peace." But of course, this is a Godzilla film, and any alien in a Godzilla film is automatically declared evil unless they are a time traveler. Then it is debated on if they are evil or not. And so they're like, "We want to help you from this asteroid that's coming, this big planet-sized asteroid." But it's like, oh wait, that's a hologram, so they're obviously lying. Oh, and so those bastards. And there's this kung fu action, like X-Men Academy of mutants that are using this special gene called Mutant X. But they find out that the aliens, who are called Zillions, which is a nice nod to Invasion of the Astro Monster, or Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, or Monster Zero, as it's also known, says that, oh, we can control anything with this gene inside them, including you mutants. Oh, but there's this one mutant guy who's mutant because the Twin Fairies made an appearance and talked to him, saying, like, we will be able to help you with the aid of Mothra. If you take Mothra into your heart and respect and accept her as your new god, then we will honor you into the induction of the Mothra religion. And so
You have a moment to talk about your Lord and Savior, Mothra.
That's a thing.
Twin Fairies become Mormons of the Mothra faith. They give him this little cross thingy that protects him from the mind control of the Zillions. And the Zillions are like, at first, like, oh, we want peace. But then it's like they call them out their bullshit through a lot of different things. Yeah, Megalon, unfortunately, does not appear in this one. Unfortunately, it's very sad. But they do get another one with Gigan, in which, like, okay, we don't want to do this peacefully, so boom, you're dead, and now I'm in charge with the best villain in the entire Godzilla line, this guy who just calls himself X, who's like, if you took Team Rocket and piled in the Power Rangers villains, all of them, just piled them all into a singular body, and then it becomes like Twitch plays this guy, like Twitch plays Pokemon, and he's like going all over crazy shit and whatnot, doing all the classic villain cliches and everything, and he's glorious. If you need to watch this movie, besides the monster fights, definitely watch this guy X. He's very cool, but he's not Mega Man X or anything like that. Anyways, so then he decides, okay, I'm going to release all these monsters again, and it's like there's this guy who looks like Captain Slaughter or
Sergeant Slaughter.
Sergeant Slaughter says, like, we gotta get Godzilla back. And granted, this guy, the entire movie, is speaking in English, and he is like, doesn't know if he's understanding Japanese or not. He's just going with the show, and it's awesome, and he's awesome. And then, like, they say, we gotta go release Godzilla. And so they go and release Godzilla from the ice, but there's this one guy who has this weird shirt on. He's a side character one night. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but he has these little, like, nipple things on his shirt indicating where his nipples are. It's really weird. And so they release Godzilla. Godzilla's like, "Rawr, shit, I'm tired. You boom, you boom." Gigan comes out and he starts fighting him, but then Godzilla blasts his head off. And then from there on, it's a battle royale of all sorts of different monsters, like going up to try to get Godzilla, but Godzilla then goes like blah 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 blah, boom 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 boom, and then it all leads up to the final conflict. Yes, there's the nipples of the big guy right there, up there on the screen. It's so weird, I know. Stare, look into the face of it, and then everything goes into all shit overdrive, and all sorts of monsters come out, and a new revived Gigan, and Monster X comes down, and from the asteroid, and
there's so much going on in this movie. It is crazy.
You just need to fucking watch it. Like, if you want to fucking look at the definition of clusterfuck, you look this up in the dictionary, and this is what you will find.
but it's a really awesomely done one of those.
It's fucking amazing, though.
It's okay. This is. I mean, I'm not kidding when I said when I was talking about the pre-planning for this movie. This is the '80s man action movie of the Godzilla franchise.
Manly action, heterosexual warfare.
This is not good storytelling. This is just straight up action. You have explosions, constant fighting, and really, really hot chicks. Like, the Sergeant Slaughter guy is my favorite character in this movie, period. He has this, like, epic eyebrow raise that he does. It's like, he punches out his superior officer because he almost blew up a ship trying to kill a monster named Manda. And it's like, after, like, all the world has been practically destroyed and, like, a lot of, like, the mutants have been taken over, and this guy's, like, the only person they can go to for help. They bust him out. Like, the main character, Ozaki, like, brings in, like, this room where they're talking things over, and the only other people in there are the two main female characters in the movie, which, at the time, are wearing very, very short skirts, specifically to show off their legs, and they're both just I kid you not, they're both just sitting up on this table. Their legs just kind of like that like cross-legged thing that the chicks do, where one leg's hanging over the other, but their feet are still almost touching each other. And the guy walks in, and he just, like, raises his eyebrows, like, "Nice work, Ozaki." And he's like, "Oh, wait, no, it's not what you think."
Vegeta came.
I am not. This movie is just so much fun. And there's just so much fun to be had watching this movie. I mean, it's... Like, when they first introduce, like, the super hot female scientist, it's like the mutant guy Ozaki, he's, like, assigned to protect her, and he's like, "You don't look like a biologist, you look like you'd be a supermodel." And she's like, you know what? Just don't talk to me unless I talk to you. In fact, don't even look at me unless I otherwise tell you to." This movie is just so much fun with all the explosives, all the hot chicks, all the constant fighting. This movie is just a ton of fun to watch.
Yes.
So, they ended all of this on a very high note. Not the greatest in terms of storytelling, good effects, amazing action. This is the kind of movie Michael Bay strives to make.
And somehow pisses off people more than he excites them.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's...
Spider,
Yes?
your thoughts?
Fucking... still getting fucking tossed to the City Opera House and then just fucking curb stomped. It was glorious. Fuck you, America. Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Godzilla Final Wars, everyone. If you have to pick a movie to just sit down and have fun with your friends, this is it. And this is also the final movie. This was the final movie of the Godzilla franchise, but not for much longer. In less than 2 weeks, we get one more.
Oh ho ho!
And then maybe we, depending on how good or bad the movie is, we might get some more Toho movies in a couple of years, but we'll see.
Hopefully.
Indeed. So, everyone, that is show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to check us out in 2 more weeks on May 19th, where we will be providing our own review of the new Godzilla movie. It comes out on May 16th. And be warned, since the movie's only going to be 3 days old, spoilers.
Oh yes.
Spoilers.
So,
But
you know...
it's probably gonna be fucking amazing. Did you see that fucking trailer? That trailer, I don't want to brag, but that trailer came into my house, gave me a blowjob, and then made me a sandwich.
Now that's a trailer.
Can we kill it?
I think something can.
Why would you want to kill the trailer?
A monster.
No. A god.
I love that line. I hope it's in the movie and not just trailer cock tease.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was almost as... I hope it's not good. Like when that dumbass Battleship movie came out, they did not say the fucking line.
What was the line?
You sunk my battleship!
Son of a bitch.
You're required by law to say that line if you're making a movie about the board game Battleships.
And they made it into a fucking first-person shooter too, by the way.
Yeah, I saw Angry Joe's review of that. That looked pretty terrible.
And they didn't even include the fucking Battleship board game. This is bullshit. That made me so angry. But yes, this is where we end the show for tonight, folks. Tune in 2 weeks from now, and we're gonna see Guy fucking Zilla for the first time in 10 years.
12.
It's been like 10 years, right?
Yeah, 10 years, 10 years.
10 fucking years. Are you guys ready? I can't hear you.
I'm ready!
Yeah.
My body is ready.
Yeah.